It's good day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy, Millsy, back at the hometown commander, and we are back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew my version 1.0 deck list of the commander in front of us on my quest to brew the Magic World. And as always, the deck list is going to be down in the description for you below. We are in our second to last week of content before Thunder Junction. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are excited for that too. The set looks really interesting so far, and I'm excited to see more of those previews this week. But we got brewing to do, so let's talk about it. Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashvale, is a 6-mana 5/5 human knight. It's vigilance and menace. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, we draw a card and lose a life. And equipment you control have Knight 0. Well, as far as our original Brawl commanders go, this is probably the one of the 4 that I have never actually brewed a list for. Alayla is a deck that I care a lot about. Corvold is a deck I've played around with in the past. Tulane is a deck that I've done for the channel, I believe already. If I haven't, I thought I did. Or I've brewed lists for it in the past. But Gwyn's the one I haven't, and that's mainly for 2 reasons. One, I've never really been a fan of equipment commanders, although I think Gwyn is a great commander in her own right. And 2, because I have a resident Mardu player in my playgroup, and he has given Gwyn her run a few times. So I thought, why not take a shot at it for the channel? We just saw some fun equipment out of the last couple sets. We just got some great new stuff over the last year for equipment decks. I thought, why not take it into the 3 colors, take a classic equipment commander in Sir Gwyn, and see what we can put together. So as far as how the deck's going to go, we're going to only play a few knights. It wasn't as knight tribal as I expected it to be. I really want to play into the equipment more, but we have some knights that are really going to help Gwyn and the rest of our creatures hold the line and fight. We're going to have a bunch of ways to make equipment cost cheap. We don't want to just rely on Gwyn to be the only way to get our equipment equipped quickly or for 0. So we're going to put in some redundancy and maybe some ways also to do it at instant speed. We're going to talk about some ways to make combat better, give our creatures extra abilities, or just let them hit a little bit harder. And then we're just going to talk about some of the equipment in this deck. There's so many equipment that I chose in this deck, but I'm just going to talk about some of my favorites, whether they're new or I think they're fun. We'll talk about some of the ones that caught my eye, and you can see the rest of them in the deck list down below. But as far as some of the other knights that we have alongside us, Bloodcrusher of Khorne seems really fun, giving all other creatures we control have trample. This is basically going to make sure that all of our creatures getting buffed are going to have trample and make sure then they can hit even harder. Knights of Exemplar giving all of our other knights +1/+1 indestructible. This means that we don't need to always have a Mithril Coat or a of those laying around to make creature indestructible. And we can be a little bit less worried about swinging our creatures in without them being destroyed. And then Skyhunter Strike Force giving everybody melee, which is pretty cool. Melee can be a really fun ability if we're attacking all of our opponents. That's +3/+3 to all of our creatures and can get pretty tough for our opponents to deal with. But as far as cheapening on the equip cost, Pure Steel Paladin is pretty great because it's both a knight and a card that cares about equipment. As long as we have 3 or more artifacts, equipment have equip 0. And that's great because it's going to help no matter what, whether Gwyn's on the battlefield or not. We're going to be able to get them on there quick. Armored Skyhunter, whenever it attacks, is going to let us look at the top 6, get an aura or equipment, mainly just equipment here from among them, and put on the battlefield. And if it's an equipment, we can attach it to a creature we control. Don't have to attach it to the Skyhunter. We can just attach it to anything. And this is good because if we're trying to go for if we see our game plan being a little bit more Voltron, we can just get that right on Gwyn. Or if we're trying to go wide, we can get that on something that maybe needs an equipment. Rohirrim Chargers just came out in that holiday release of Lord of the Rings. And it's a really interesting card. Whenever it attacks, we can exert it. And if we do a reveal from the top until we hit an equipment and we put it on the battlefield attached to Rohirrim Charger, because it's the only creature in the deck we have that exerts, and then put the rest on the bottom. This is kind of interesting because it can help us cheat out some equipment. Yeah, it might actually help save Rohirrim Charger from getting blocked, but then that's equipment we can always move around later if we want to. But I like this. I like this ability. I think it's fun. And hey, it's a knight, so if for all our type, for all of our cards that care about typings, it at least is going to be helpful. We're playing the classic Sigarda's Aid style abilities, making so we can play equipment at flash speed, and if they do, we can attach it as soon as they come in. Forge Anew is pretty cool. We're turning an equipment from our graveyard to the battlefield. As long as it's our turn, we can activate equip abilities anytime we get cast an instant. And we can pay 0 rather than pay the first one. Forge Anew basically means that with Gwyn out, we can move our equipment around at instant speed. And this is great because we can declare an attack, see how our opponents block, and then move equipment around to make it favorable for us. Inventory Management just came out of the Fallout set, and this card probably is going to do something very good that kind of very similar to Forge Anew, allowing us to attach each equipment we control to any creature we want, and at instant speed where somebody can't respond. This seems like a pretty good card, and again, take an attack, see where the blocks lie, and move your equipment around to punish your opponents for blocking that way. As far as making combat better, well, Halvar does a great job at it. It's one of the only not knights in our deck, but giving all of our equipped creatures double strike is certainly very good, especially if we compare that with trample or flying or other abilities we can get through our equipment. It means we're going to be probably hitting punishingly hard. And then its second ability, beginning of each combat, we can move an equipment to another creature, which is really cool as well, because again, anything we can do to move things around and make it harder for our opponents seems really good. Knight's Charge, whenever a knight we control attacks, each opponent loses one and we gain one. Not bad. I think that little chip damage is going to matter in the grand scheme of things, right? You think about it, we're a combat deck, we're trying to deal 80 to 100, 120 damage to our opponents. That means we're going to need to get any of this extra damage we can. And for a 3-mana enchantment, it's going to, if we were opening our hand, be out before we get all this started. I like it. And the Neshings of the Chosen, probably one of my personal favorite tribal enchantments in these colors. When it comes in, you pick a type. For its course, that's going to be Knights. Knights get +1/+1, and then we can pay 1, sacrifice a creature of the chosen type to give creature we control of that type indestructible until end of turn. And that's pretty great because we can do that at instant speed and save Gwyn or another one of our creatures from getting blasted or defeated in combat or destroyed. There's a lot of ways you can protect things, but hey, flat +1/+1 ain't bad, especially when you're looking at things like Double Strike and Trample. But hey, that quick protection seems pretty cool as well. But let's talk about, I picked up 9 equipment that I want to talk about. There are 15 to 18 equipment in the deck. Believe me, there are lots of equipment in this deck. These are not all of them. But I just want to talk about some new ones and some old ones that I think I wanted to really talk about. First up is Aegis of the Legion. This is a new one from the Clue Edition. Quick creature gets +1/+1 in Mentor, so whenever it attacks, you put a counter on it if it's attacking with an attacking creature with lesser power. So you ideally want to put this on your creature with the highest power so it can spread those counters across the board. And whenever the equipped creature mentors a creature, you put a shield counter on that creature. This is a really fun ability, allowing us to hopefully protect some of our creatures from single target removal or certain things like that. Of course, the single target removal would have to be destroying removal, not exile removal, but you know what I mean. It can help protect some of our creatures, whether it be in combat or from being destroyed. And it's still good. I think that's still worth it for spreading that around. Andoril, Narsil, or Forged. Putting a counter and everything, or 2 counters if we have the City's Blessing, is a great ability. Buffing up our entire board, getting us all going. Bigger the better, especially when we have so many things that give trample and double strike and all that good stuff. The more power, the hopefully quicker the game goes. Argentum Armor, giving creature +6/+6, and whenever it attacks, destroy target permanent. Man, when we get equipped this for free, it certainly feels great, and then start destroying some things of our opponents. Well, one of the things we can do to give our things trample is Embercleave, probably one of my favorite equipment in these colors. +1/+1 double strike and trample is going to make whatever creature this equips to hit pretty darn hard, and it feels great when you can pair it alongside something that's giving something a pretty big buff. I really like Maul the Skyclaves, giving something +2/+2 flying and first strike. This could take a creature that maybe our opponents would be able to block and get it in the air and make it something our opponents can't block. And against the right decks, this could have Gwyn threatened for commander damage if they don't have any flying blockers. Hammer it is on, +2/+0, and indestructible. And whenever it or another equipment enters under your control, you may attach that equipment to target creature. Help us get around those equip costs and make sure that we're spending all of our mana on the important things. Nazgul Battle Mace seems kind of interesting. Quick creature has a Menace, Death Touch, Annihilator 1, and whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, you put that card onto the battlefield under your control unless that player pays 3 life. This could be really interesting with Annihilator 1 against the right opponents. But hey, other than that, Menace Death Touch is still going to be difficult to deal with, especially with things like Trample. Trample works so well with Death Touch, and for how many things we have in the deck that give Trample, especially those equipment, that's a really fun interaction. Silver Shroud Costume says when it ETBs, we attach it to target creature we control. That creature gets Shroud until end of turn. Remember that we want to be careful with Shroud in trying to equip because it won't work. So we do have to kind of be careful. It's the reason you don't traditionally play Greaves, but you'll play Swiftfoot Boots in these decks because it makes equipping a lot harder. But hey, quick creature can't be blocked, so here's another way to potentially go down that more Voltron route if we want to. Same thing with Whisper Silk Cloak. Whether we just have a big creature that we want to nail someone to the wall with damage, or we load up Gwyn, these are cards that can help us push in and end the game. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. No deck's ever done. This is just my version 1.0 of the deck. And there were a lot of cards that I really wanted to put in that didn't make it. And these are 3 cards that I think is, if you were to test this list, I would take an honest look at. Godsend seems like a really fun equipment. Whenever a creature blocks or becomes blocked by one or more creatures, you may exile one of those creatures, basically block it and exile it for free. And opponents can't cast cards with the same name as cards exiled with Godsend, meaning that if you were to block someone's commander with a creature with Godsend on it, they could no longer cast their commander. That's not really a fun interaction, but it exists. Battle Angels of Tyr can get a bunch of value, and it's an angel, and it's a knight, so that is important. It's just a little pricier, but again, in a Mardu equipment deck, you're already going to be spending some money. I just wanted to try some other creatures out instead. And then Take the Bait. This card just seems really good in Boros. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and Planeswalkers you control this turn. Untap all attacking creatures and goad them, and there's additional combat. This can kind of convince your opponents to go the other way, attack somebody else, and probably help pave the way for us to get in and attack someone else rather than them attacking us. But let's get into the Goldfish. We are looking at hand 1, a 3-lander with a mana rock, so we're always happy about that. Remember, the goal is to get to 6 for Sir Gwyn, but the more value we can get along the way, the better. We're going to play that Nomad Outpost turn 1, looking at getting that Talisman of Indulgence down turn 2. Iceland Chapel's feeling a little awkward here since we don't have a Plains or a Swamp, but I think that's okay. I think if we can get the Indulgence down turn 2, it won't feel as bad, and maybe our luck will change. We draw a Forge anew, so I think my plan is 2 here and the Talisman. Just get ourselves those colors available. The Chapel will still come in tapped this next turn no matter what, I guess it looks like at this point, but we do have the Strike Force or a Forge anew. Although the Forge anew might seem a little lost, we could keep Wear and Tear up. There's some options, Knight's Charge. We'll see what it looks like, but even with that Isolated Chapel coming in, I think we still have plenty of options. Well, hey, we lucked into that Swamp, so we're going to play that instead to make sure that Chapel comes in untapped. And I think I play the Chargers here. Get it ready for next turn where it could exert itself and get an equipment out for free. Then maybe if we luck out drawing another land, we can go into Gwyn the next turn and get those equipment to start moving around and go that. We'll go 2 more turns. This turn we're going to play that Chapel, getting up to 5 mana. I like the idea of the Sky Hunter, but it's not giving melee to everything else yet. I like the idea of getting the Cloak down. That is always an option. We could also get Knight's Charge down. I think I'd just get the Strike Force down, hold up the Wear and Tear if we need to use it to get rid of something. I would probably attack and exert the Chargers here. So what we're going to do is we're going to reveal until we hit an equipment, and we're going to put it on the battlefield attached to Raharim. We find a Culture Complete. It has Living Weapon, so I'm pretty sure that this... I'm imagining it would probably come in and still make that 0/0 germ, but here, because it's going to get equipped to the Robin Charger, that 0/0 germ is just going to die. But it now is +5/+5, first strike, trample, indestructible, and when this player deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature, and then these go on the bottom. That was pretty great, because Culture Complete seems like a great thing to get on Gwyn if we want to go that route. Otherwise, Raharim's down a 9/9 with first strike, trample, indestructible, and it's going at somebody. It is exerted, but hey, we can just equip this next turn, or hopefully we luck into that land for Gwyn to equip it for free. But hey, this is a big attack, and if somebody blocks into this, they're just going to lose their creature. Otherwise, we could hit somebody for some big damage. We'll go 1 more turn. Unfortunately, we didn't get a land, but this definitely still gets us Gwyn. We'll pay any one of those mana to get down Soul Ring and have plenty enough mana for, just barely enough mana for Sir Gwyn. Get down. We don't have haste, but that's completely okay. We now turn on the melee for Skyhunter Strike Force. It's in the air, which is pretty great. I think we probably would just use Gwyn's ability to move this over to the Skyhunter for now, since Raharim is stuck down this turn. And attack in with the Skyhunter. That would lose us a life and draw us a card with Gwyn's ability. And now Skyhunter is a 3+5, 8/8 in the air, going at somebody for a strike trample. And the next turn we can hope to get down maybe some more equipment. We can also exert Raharim Chargers again, do that loop again. And I like this board state. We're going to get a couple more equipment down. Maybe we draw something good off the top. We don't, but we see a Sigarda's Aid. Again, I like this board state. Keep using the Raharim Chargers when we can to get more equipment. Get things down to either hurt our opponents or, hey, get Whisper Silk Cloak down to get, something unblockable and just start dealing more damage to our opponents. Let's go for another Goldfish. Seeing a 2-lander, but we see a Swords to Plowshares, a Felwar Stone, and a Mask for a 3-mana Argentum and Ruinous Ultimatum on the top end. It could be risky. Let's hope we hit another land, but I like the Felwar to at least get us down that road. All right, well, we draw the Savai Triumph. That's certainly great. That'll certainly help get us down the right road. That means that Chapel could come in untapped if we wanted to. And that'll help because, my plan here, if I didn't draw the Triumph, was going to be to drop the Tirith tapped. But hey, I like it. Great turn 1 take. Turn 2, we see a Fervent Champion. Okay, cool. So I think if our opponents are playing anything that has red already on turn 1, we Isolated Chapel, Felwar Stone, Fervent Champion. If they don't, then we can't do that. But I'm going to assume that someone has red for the purposes of this playtest, and we play out the champion, and maybe we get attack in for 1 on somebody. If not, oh well, but hey, we got a creature down, and we're starting to get down that path. Next turn, we draw a Swiftfoot Boots. Okay. We do have the double black for the Gristlebrand, so I think I'd probably get that down this turn. Tirith comes in tapped, unfortunately. We have no legendary creature, but I like Mask of Gristlebrand, flying and lifelink, and whenever that creature dies, you can pay X, where X life or X is its power, and draw that many cards. Again, we're still a turn away from equipping it to Fervent Champion. Remember, Fervent Champion gives another attacking knight +1/+0 until end of turn, and equips cost 3 less. I completely forgot. So Fervent Champion can get it this turn and get in for 1, gain us a life, but it has flying. Well, we missed another land, but I'm pretty sure this White Orchid should be able to get us another land here next turn, right? We missed the land drop this turn, but next turn, hopefully someone should have more lands than us. Get the Swift Boots down. I don't want to play the Orchid because I want to play it next turn when someone's more likely to have less lands than us. So I'd probably just keep the Plowshares up and take another swing with Fervent Champion at somebody in the air. This turn, we could probably play that Knight of the White Orchid and have absolutely no problem getting a Plains. Now, it says you can search your library for a Plains card, not a basic Plains. So I think I would try to go get something. Let's say we have 2 mana. If I go get an actual Plains, it comes in and we can play Knight's Charge. Or we could try to go get something like one of our Shadowy Backstreet or something like that that has a Plains subtype. I think I'd kind of rather do that. Close and shuffle. We surveil 1 for it coming in. I like the Talisman. We'll keep it on top. That should allow us to get to Gwyn the next turn. 3 mana left. 2 mana left, right? Because we played the we played this in tapped. I'd say we could just we get the Swiftfoot Boots on Fervent Champion if we want to, if we're worried about it. Otherwise, I'd just probably leave the Plowshares up, take another attack. This turn, we get that Talisman we just drew. That would allow us to get down the Knight's Charge, and we set up for Gwyn next turn. Maybe we put, let's see, that'd be 3. We could still get this Swiftfoot Boots on something if we want to. But again, I like this board state. The next turn, we get Gwyn down. We move the Gristlebrand, try to get it on something else or get it on Gwyn, or we leave it on Fervent Champion. get the boots on Gwyn, right? Start protecting Gwyn a little bit. And now, when Fervent Champion attacks, we're drawing cards, when we get into more equipment. Again, this isn't a bad state. It took a little bit to get there, but I think this is where the deck should, take off and get some more value. But let me know, what do you guys think of Sir Gwyn down in the comment section below. Interesting deck. I had a ton of fun brewing it. If you guys played Gwyn, I'd love to see what I missed. I love having conversations with y'all about cards and strategies in the comment section. It makes all of us better at the game. I really enjoy it, and I can't wait to hear from you guys. But I will catch you guys later. Thank you so much for watching.